Hey everybody, how you doing? Mr. H here with you. Happy Friday. Back off the mic here, Mr. H. So, what you been up to, man? Did you have a great 4th of July? Yeah, mine was kind of okay. Hot dogs, hamburgers, couple souvlaki. Nothing really spectacular, but hey, that's the way we like it. Watch some fireworks, some legal, some not legal. Nobody I knew got a thumb blown off, so I guess we'll call it a success, huh? Well, today is July the 10th. Right. Anniversary of the Battle of the Monongahela. Yeah, about 10 miles down the road here. Um, some people call it Battle of the Wilderness. This is kind of the beginning of that 7 Years' War thing. Now, this was in 1855. In 1854, the previous year, they had sent that George Washington guy over there to Fort Necessity. Actually, sent him over to where Acrisure is, actually Point Park, to try to push the French out. And, the whole thing kind of went south, Juman and Glen and all that. And they sent him back. So now they sent proper British officer Edward Braddock and a proper British force to go throw out the French and their Native American allies. They're strung out in column, and as Teutoburger Wall 2.0, where the Germans ambushed the Romans when they were strung out in column. Same thing happens here, and those nice red uniforms must have made great targets. So they go over there, and the British get massacred. Braddock takes a bullet right there in the lower abdomen, fatal wound. And that George Washington guy had been through this before, so he took command and got everybody out. Him and Thomas Gage. Yeah, they're going to meet later on. So it was a pretty bad day if you were British. If you ever want to know how that battle turned out, if you want to get like a realistic depiction of what it must have been like, there it is right there. Last of the Mohicans, where they're coming back from Fort William Henry. It's not, the Monongahela, but it gives you an idea what happened. Where the British are strung out there in column. They can't, mass together with their firepower. They've got to look in two different directions. They're not organized or anything because, they're marching in column. Just ended very, very bad for the British that day. Of course, they're going to win in the end by adapting to American conditions, but didn't start off too well. But you know what they say, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And they're going to end up winning most of North America by the time this war's over. Now, Edward Braddock, he gets a bad rap sometimes because, you're the guy in charge and, you're the one who got massacred. The colonials couldn't do it the year before. They send you to go do the job, and boy, did you screw it up. Paid for it with his life and about 2,000 of his men. He had that British attitude, we're professional soldiers, we're going to go and take care of business. He did have experience in fighting irregulars, though. He fought in the Jacobin Rebellion against the Scots back there in 1745. So, it wasn't like he walked in blind. He just got caught at the wrong spot at the wrong time. Ever hear about having an off day? He had an off day, and wow, it was a really bad one. Yep, like I said, paid for it with his life. Most of his soldiers died as well. The colonial soldiers there, they got him out of there. George Washington, they tried to take Braddock with them. They did, but he died along the way. Supposedly his last words were, "Look after my men," or something to that effect. We're not really sure. I think it might have been somebody clear out my browser history. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, it didn't work out so great. Things work one way in Europe, they work way different over here, man. Hey, Braddock is also the name of the town that sprung up around it, named it after him. Kind of a depressing sort of place, to be honest with you. I'm not insulting people from Braddock. Everybody at Braddock will tell me, yeah, it's not that great a place. But yeah, you're working on it. This used to be the mayor. Yeah, John Fetterman. Typical Pennsylvania there with a jacket and a hoodie on. Yep, if you didn't know what state you were, take one look at that. You're in Western PA. Now, we were talking about, I was talking to a friend of mine about Jurassic World Rebirth. I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen I'm waiting for it to get to the cheap theaters. Mixed reviews on it so far. I've seen so many action clips from it on YouTube that I'm pretty sure I've seen most of the movie already. And I kind of got fixated on Spinosaurus. And you know why? Got a little beef here with Spinosaurus. Of course, I'm not going to say it to his face. I'm going to say it very far away over a screen and a microphone. Um, that's from Jurassic Park 3. I'm not sure this animal actually existed. Yeah, I'm just not convinced. At first, it was depicted as such, as a hulking terrestrial predator, a rival of Tyrannosaurus Rex. Yeah, I'm just not buying it. Even if I accepted that premise at face value, look at the jaws, narrow-looking jaws. That looks like something that lives near a river, a fish eater. And, they've actually changed the appearance of this somewhat. And yeah, a lot of people began to agree it lived near rivers, fresh water, probably going to estuaries, no problem. And they changed the appearance, which tends to happen with new research. But look at this. See, the top is what they used to call it, and the bottom is what it looks like now, supposedly. And it looks like a totally different animal. And I'm talking about the legs and the forearms. Right? Different size, different proportions here. Yeah, I don't know which bones you were looking at, man, but I think you put something together on a late Friday afternoon because you're trying to get out before 5. So, yeah, I'm not sold on Spinosaurus, so there it is swimming out there in the water. We'll get to that a little bit later. So, did Spinosaurus actually exist? Hey, go ahead. Tell me in the comments. Yay, nay, don't know. No idea what I'm talking about. Wouldn't be the first time. See, I think that if this animal actually existed, that's, I think, an accurate depiction. Right? The arms and legs can't be that long because it's swimming. You don't want it dragging along the ground. At the same time, big enough to keep the terrestrial predators away. So it probably spent a lot of time in the water. That fin to regulate temperature, yeah, I could buy that. And it might even act like a dorsal fin somewhat. So I'm getting the impressions a freshwater animal could probably operate in estuaries, no problem. Big enough to keep the bigger animals away. Pretty decent competitor there on the coastline. Now that picture we saw earlier, down at the bottom, that's the mosasaur. And we've got 3 Spinosaurs swimming around. Apparently there's some kind of symbiotic relationship going on here. I don't know if Spinosaurs really operate in the salt water. Nobody really knows. And I don't know why they're hanging around as mosasaur. Maybe, I don't know, it directs them to food and it protects it from what? I don't know. They're pretty big on their own. But on the other hand, before I start trashing everybody too much, remember, these animals had evolved in the Mesozoic era, and it's a completely different era now, so it has to make adaptations to survive. So I guess most adaptations is to be a pack hunter, follow an alpha like maybe a mosasaur, and learn to swim in salt water. All right, I'll give you a break. I'll give you a break on that one, Jurassic World. We'll see how it goes. All right, Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. Yeah, everybody's been talking about that for months on end. They finally decided to do that. Yeah, I remember this. Super Bowl 45. Yeah, I don't forget things like this. Mr. H, historian. I remember everything. It's a blessing and a curse. So, I don't know, mixed feelings about him coming to Pittsburgh. I don't understand how replacing our 35-year-old quarterback with a 41-year-old quarterback who signed for exactly 1 year is going to help. But stranger things have happened, man. Speaking of strange, look at this. On the left, there he is at practice. And the NFL looks a little too suspicious. Look, there's some brand placement there. And somebody did a Photoshop what he looked like in a Steeler jersey. And a lot of angry people saying that used to be Kenny Pickett's uniform. Yeah, before that, Tommy Maddox. Somebody's going to pick up your number somewhere down the road, right? So how is this going to work out? I don't really know. We also got Jalen Ramsey. So that means we have 4 quarterbacks right now. We have, as you can see, Rodgers right there. Jalen Ramsey just showed up. Tim Howard's the guy we drafted in Ohio State. I think that's our guy for the future. So it looks like Mason Rudolph might be the odd guy out. Of course, the Steelers have a history of having 4 quarterbacks from time to time, so maybe this is one of those times. Now, will this work out for the Steelers? One way to find out. Walk on the field. You know what they say. It's always stupid until it works. And if this works, all right, that's cool. You know it'd be really great? As long as the Steelers win the Super Bowl, I'm okay with it. But just imagine, wouldn't it be great if his second and final Super Bowl was leading the Steelers over the Packers? Yeah, a little bit of payback there, a little bit of payback. Anyway, you guys have yourself a great day, and I will talk to you next time. Das vidanya.